This is a special video because I'm going to be reading something that Dr. Salvatore Pais kindly requested that I read, but I also fully support it. Let me make that very clear. I fully support everything that he says, and I'm going to read what he wants everyone to know. And then after that, I'm going to add a couple of things on my own behalf. So allow me to read this. This is coming from Dr. Sal Pais. You who do not believe in my advanced sci-tech are missing a great deal when it comes to the engineering of the Pais effect and the superforce. Just think, why would someone of my advanced doctoral pedigree waste his time for over 10 years if there was no value to these concepts? Once you understand that there is great value to these ideas, only then will you unlock the ninth gate to the kingdom of shadows, allegorically speaking, of course. For those naysayers out there, before you dismiss my ideas, do the math and perform the physics. Then and only then will you see that my physical mathematics, that is mathematics that is guided by the physics, not vice versa, makes sense. The fact that it is the superforce, which acting locally on the spatial temporal geometric structure generates energy density, hence creates ordinary matter, should give you cause for pause. Remember what that gent by the name of Bob Lazar said about the smoothness of the ET craft, as if it was grown out of space-time itself, 3D printed from the space-time fabric. Before you call me a charlatan and a crank, and call my new perspective on old physics pseudoscience, quantum mumbo jumbo, or physics word salad, please take the time to consider the conditional possibilities. Cognitio est potentia, nihil sine lux. Only via the Pais effect can the Schwinger limit be broken. Attosecond lasers, or attosecond lasers, will not do the job unless 10 to the 39 such modules of milliwatt titanium sapphire laser capability is used as a unified photonic field, the logistics of which is insane from an engineering perspective. Insane, he says in quotes. You can trust my tech know-how on that subject matter. If not, look at the physics and see for yourself. Only by unification can we free ourselves from our unacknowledged slavery condition. Please remember that as long as our survival depends on others, we are all slaves. The others are not. Unless we come together and strive to enhance and support each other's ideas, we shall fall apart, and this human civilization with us will. For we fight principalities and powers that do not conform to what one would call good and divine in nature. I believe in man-made tech, which is represented by the Pais effect and the engineering of the superforce. I do not believe in this ET tech or anything that has been reverse engineered from it. Consider this final thought. Anything that is derived from the ET tech, UFO or UAP, can be defeated by the ETs or interdimensional. After all, it is their technology that they would act against in case of a war of the worlds. Think and think again. You shall realize that this is the truth. Tesla knew this. That's why the great man went his own way and said, fuck you to JP Morgan. How many people today would be of the natural greatness of Nikola Tesla? I know of absolutely none. Do you? And Dr. Pais ends this with saying, all men die, not all men know how to live. That is what Mr. Pais said. Now, I want to say that everything I'm going to say from here does not reflect the opinions of Mr. Pais's employers, not whatsoever. Everything I'm about to say here moving forward as well may not necessarily reflect the opinions of actually many people, but at this point, I am now speaking to you folks as Dave. Everything I just read was from Dr. Pais, everything I just said there. Now, this is me, Dave, speaking to you. Why are there sending individuals to tell certain scientists that they're not allowed to do certain things? To preserve what? A national security secret that the Japanese, the Brazilians, the Chinese, and the Russians are openly publishing? So in many countries outside of North America, people are referencing Dr. Pais's work in the case of, for example, room temperature, superconductivity, and so on and so forth. But for some reason in North America, if you're within the system, you get shit on if you try and even discuss it or put a proposal together that would try and get you to essentially engineer this. Another thing, and what I'm about to say here is public, so people can look this up if they like. Why are there certain individuals that have said that they have signed affidavits, sworn affidavits, saying they have seen certain devices made by a certain individual capable and operational? That's what I want to know. And then when journalists reach out to the public university professors, those professors just, instead of actually trying to understand potentials, the magnetic vector potential in particular, and a handful of other possibilities that would unify the strong nuclear force with the electroweak force, why do they dismiss it as nonsense? People have said about Dr. Paez's work, and I've seen these comments online, they said, if anything, if even 1% of what Dr. Paez's patents entail are true, we would have to redefine our understanding of electricity. Why not? Why not? What's with the bullshit politics? There's a lot more that I would like to say, but I'm probably going to leave it for a second video because I'm very upset at certain people that claim they're out there trying to push for the truth, but they're fucking lying. They're lying. Not all of them, but some of them. Why? Because if you don't play ball with them, then you get blackballed. You get blacklisted. What happened to the notion of thinking outside the box? As a matter of fact, I'll go one step further. I saw a professor, I forgot his name, so forgive me, but it was a recent clip that was published on a certain channel, fairly well known in the academic community, this channel. Why is it that this person said, for example, whenever I try and get my PhD students to come up with something unique for their thesis, they don't do it because they're afraid to challenge the status quo. Instead, the students are asking the professor what they should write. That tells me that very few people are thinking outside the box. I have a friend who I've known and who I've had on the show quite some time ago, probably 18 months ago at this point, very smart gentleman who was kicked out of multiple universities for proposing the notion of some type of higher symmetry electromagnetics. Why? Why are there people playing games against other very smart people? When you spend years trashing someone publicly and privately, what do you expect them to do? I'm fucking serious. What do you expect them to do? You might say, Dave, you're upset. Of course I'm fucking upset. He's my friend. There's a lot more that I know that I'm not going to say here. But for certain people that are watching, let me make it very fucking clear. I know. You try and destroy people. For what? For greed? You gonna kill everybody? You know who I'm talking to. The right people that are watching this will see this and they'll fucking know. Instead of saying, let's share ideas, let's exchange. I'm not saying that we should put any one individual on a pedestal because science has to do with multiple people coming together and working together. People like idiots, fucking idiots. Let me make that very clear. Idiots like Jack Sarfati, who allow himself to be handled by people like Ron Pandolfi for years, who by the way, I'm sure Sarfati's not all there, by the way. You better watch your fucking mouth. And I mean that. That's not a threat. I'm just saying. Everyone's got dirty laundry. Why? Why do people feel the need to put other people down? There's a difference between civilly arguing with someone or having a civil debate on the science and then trashing somebody. The reason I'm saying what I'm saying is because Sal is a friend, but at the same time, I'm now currently in a position where if people want to come at me, they can come at me. Let me make that very clear. This is a war, a mind war, a mind game between good and evil. Between good and evil. Some of you might say, well, Dave, you're very upset. Well, if you heard even 10% of the things that I know that I was able to verify about the way in which certain technologies have been suppressed, especially when that person is a friend of yours, and I'm not speaking, again, I'm not saying it's Sal, I'm just saying in general, wouldn't you be upset? Imagine you work on something for years in your house or in your basement, and then all of a sudden someone comes in and just takes it away from you. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying that that was Dr. Pais. He's gone through his own stuff. That's why I said right after I read Dr. Paez's quote that everything I say from here on forward is of my own volition. There's not anyone telling me anything. I found certain things out on my own. When is this going to stop? I'm not saying we all have to sing Kumbaya by the fire, so to speak, but to say that someone's work is a word salad or physics mumbo jumbo, what kind of person in your heart do you have to be to constantly do this for years and years and years so that you can be what, a bitch for the national security apparatus? It was deemed, it was deemed by certain individuals in the Navy that Dr. Paez's work was feasible and was not considered classified. And I'm going to leave that there. People who have been in the alternative science field make fun of people. And I'm not talking about myself or Dr. Paez. I've seen this with others. They make fun of people because they're children. They're idiots. Some of them are fucking drug addicts. Yeah, and some of them are not the nicest people. This is a mind war, but this is a spiritual war. If someone comes to you, and I'm saying this to the audience, and you see they've been badly beaten up in a physical sense, and they tell you, no, I was beaten up simply because I just questioned a couple of things and I wanted to propose an outside perspective. How would you feel? I'm speaking metaphorically, but how would you feel? Excuse me, hypothetically. This needs to stop because there are certain people out there that are genuinely blinded by their own stupidity that threaten inventors by saying, I'm going to report you to your commanding officer or what have you, or your program manager. You think you're a fucking tough person behind the screen? Really? I've stayed quiet long enough. This has to stop. This has to stop. I'll give you an example. Bernardo Castrop, the guy blocked me. Also, simply because what? Because I made a tweet about asking why he wrote an article entitled The Paez Effect. What does it really mean? Or something of that nature. I'm paraphrasing there. And then Bernardo replies saying that he has no, saying essentially that he was not actually questioning the feasibility of Sal's patents, but rather the feasibility of the I believe it was the patent officers that approved it. Stop being a smartass. You know what the fuck you're doing when you title the article that. You prima donna little bitch. This video is never going to get taken down, not unless YouTube takes it down. I may not have all the money in the world, but I'm in a position right now where this has to stop. Everybody likes to talk, everyone likes to throw metaphorical punches, but nobody likes to take them. And I have a friend whose message I read earlier in this episode, who's taken punch after punch after punch after punches and has been forced to stay quiet. Metaphorically, getting punched with his hands tied to the wall. And you have people, for example, like Jack Sarfati saying that Dr. Paez's work is nonsense. Jack, when was the last time you had a clearance, you fucking idiot? You are a wannabe. You pretend like you know things. And you say that if Putin asked you to go and brief him on UAPs, that you'd go do it. There's a million things I can say that are wrong with that sentence, with that statement that you said. You're a has-been. I'm going to leave this there. Some of you may say, Dave, I've never seen you so upset. Believe me if I told you that if you knew the things that I knew with regards to the way in which some of these conniving tactics were performed on many people, including my friends, you'd be upset too. I'm going to, after this, I'm going to be myself again, but I'm I'm standing up for a friend, like many of you would. If any of the names that I mentioned in this video want to reach out to me, reach out, because I've tried and you've all blocked me. Because what? Because I call you out for your bullshit? I'm not saying you have to go and tell the truth to the world for those that are in the know, but don't mislead people. The same way that I made that previous video before this one, where I talked about let's cut the crap. There's a way that you can still give hints and tell the truth without manipulating people or leading them down the wrong path. I'm going to leave that there. And I hope you all did not take this too negatively, because at the end of the day, it's about, ironically enough, after I said my piece, because I'm frustrated for a friend, but at the end of the day, after I calm down, I must admit that it's all about doing our best to try and come together or aggregate in a way that would allow us to progress. Some of you say, Dave, why did you license some of your IP out instead of telling the world? Because look what happens when you tell the world. This is a perfect example. That's all I have to say. I hope you all, I promise the next video will be far more positive, far more educational. But this needed to be said. And there might be another one of these, because at the end of the day, if people want to continue pushing lies, then we have to push back with the truth. Thank you all very much.